Hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV screen to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well let's learn English together. And hello everyone. Welcome to What Is This? This is Wednesday, isn't it? Yes, of course, Wednesday, the middle of the week. Well, the middle of the standard working week. And what do we know about Wednesday? Yes, that's right. It's midway through the week. We're stuck in the middle of the week, miles away from the weekend. Ah! Oh well, never mind. You know that we're made of tougher stuff than that, don't you? Shoulders back, head held high, look Wednesday straight in the eye and show it that we're not scared of it. We're not frightened of Wednesdays. We're hard. We're as hard as nails. In fact, we're even harder than that. We're as hard as nails covered in bits of diamond. So back off, Wednesday. You don't scare us. All right, now that we've cautioned Wednesday, that's just a normal caution. We're not the police, are we? Well, I'm not. My dad was, but that doesn't count, does it? No. All right. Now, talking of the police brings us back to the Benchfield saga. I think it's time we checked up on the supermarket and what's happening to the boys. Okay, now what, Dave? What happens now? Well, you lot are free to go home. You should probably go home and have a shower, Alfredo. I mean, I don't want to upset you, but, well, you smell pretty awful. Sorry, but that's the truth. Yes, Dave. Yes, yes, yes. I am aware of the fact that I don't exactly smell of roses. It wasn't my fault. I couldn't see where I was going and I fell into the cheese. Oh, cheese. Is that what it was? I was trying to figure out what it was. Yes, it's cheese. Cheese. And right now, I don't want to think about cheese for a long time. This whole trip to the supermarket has been, oh God, it's been a complete disaster. Well, never mind about all that now. Try to concentrate on something more positive. Such as, well, such as the fact that Lizzie stopped a crime. Yes, a crime that involved her older brother. Yes, yes, but try to concentrate on the positive things, Alfredo. One of your children was involved in a crime, true. But Tim's not a criminal. He was just being a bit stupid. And, as we agreed, he's not in trouble. So, think about the positive things. Lizzie helped the supermarket and she helped the police. My partner, Robin Whiffle, stopped Eddie Finn as he was trying to get away with the things he stole. Yes, I wanted to ask, what did he try to steal? Electronic stuff. Anything small and expensive that he could grab hold of, I think. PC Whiffle's making a note of it now. Where? Over there, in the manager's office, I think. No, I mean, where did Eddie hide the stuff? Inside his jacket and under his jumper. He stuffed the stuff down his jumper and tried to walk out as cool as a cucumber. Blimey, criminal mastermind, eh? Well, let's hope that the caution he gets will put him off. I'll have to leave you now, Alfredo. We've got to take Eddie down to the police station so that he can receive his caution. Okay, thanks for all your help, Dave. That's what we're here for, Alfredo. See you later, kids. Keep your noses clean, especially you, Tim. Okay, thanks, Dave. All right, well, things are moving along. The Benchfields have finally managed to finish their shopping, and now, thankfully, they can go home and Alfredo can have a shower. Hopefully, they remember to buy lots of soap and shampoo. Okay, now, before we nip down to the police station to see what's happening with that junior master criminal, Edward Finn, let's just have a quick look at the conversation we just heard. Was there anything in that conversation which we haven't heard before? Well, in Dave's first sentence, he used the word upset, didn't he? Yes. And although we've heard and seen that word before, I think it's a good idea to have another gander at it. Now, from the way that Dave used the word, we can see that he was using it as a verb. Okay, now the verb to upset, when we use it with people, as in to upset someone, means to make that person unhappy or disappointed or worried or possibly angry. We do something that causes that person to feel unhappy or disappointed or worried or angry. So, for example, Dave said, "I don't want to upset you." So, in this sentence, Dave shows us that he knows what he is going to say is, well, not very nice. He's about to say something to Alfredo which is not very nice. Dave's about to tell Alfredo something which nobody wants to hear. Dave is about to tell Alfredo that he smells. And that's normally a very difficult thing to tell someone. Think about your friends or the people you work with. Perhaps one of your friends has got really bad breath. Maybe this person never brushes their teeth or only 3 or 4 times a year. That means that this person's breath is probably as smelly as a homeless dinosaur's armpits, isn't it? One of your friends has got really bad breath, industrial strength bad breath. Breath that's worse than a homeless dinosaur's armpits. Breath that makes your dog seem like an advert for antiseptic mouthwash. Yes, really bad breath. But what do? Do you tell them? Well, you should. You're their friend and friends are meant to help each other. So you should help your friend and tell them that their breath is like a homeless dinosaur's armpits. But, well, we've all been there, haven't we? Yes, it's a very tricky situation. How can you tell someone something like this without hurting them? It's a very difficult problem. And the fact that it's a difficult problem normally means that we don't tell the person. We pussyfoot around the problem. Perhaps we drop hints. Perhaps we talk about dentists and brushing our teeth. Perhaps we can drop a hint by talking about someone who's got bad breath. We can try to drop hints hoping that the penny will click, drop, and our friend will start to think about their own dental hygiene. But all of these tactics are still examples of us pussyfooting around. And why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this for the same reason that Dave is being careful with Alfredo. This is a very sensitive subject. And just as Dave doesn't want to upset Alfredo, we don't want to upset our friends. So, even though we only want to speak to our friend on the phone, that way we can avoid their horrible, stinking breath, we don't have the courage to tell them to their face, to tell them personally that their breath is horrible. It's all because we don't want to upset them. We don't want them to feel embarrassed about this awful, very personal hygiene problem. It's a pickle, and we'll come back to this problem later on. But for now, let's move on. Okay, now, what else did we see in that conversation? Well, we saw that Alfredo mentioned the word fault. Now, we might have seen this before too, but let's have another look, shall we? A fault is another word for a defect, for something which is a weakness. We often see the adjective from the noun, faulty, used to describe something which doesn't work properly or something which wasn't made correctly. I took my watch back to the shop after 1 day. It was faulty. It stopped working and I couldn't set the date. When I took it back, the man agreed that it was faulty and he said that it must have been made on a Friday afternoon. He asked if I wanted another watch or my money back. I got another watch. This one isn't faulty, it works perfectly. All right, so that's the adjective faulty, meaning that something doesn't work properly. Something doesn't work the way that it should. And we know the noun fault, which is another word, a synonym for a defect or a weakness. But what about what Alfredo said? He said that something wasn't his fault. So that shows us that he's using the word as a noun. Okay, and what do you think he's saying? Well, think about what Dave said to Alfredo. Dave told Alfredo that he smelt, and Alfredo replied that it wasn't his fault. So Alfredo is talking about someone being at fault. If someone is responsible for a bad situation, if someone is in the wrong, then we say that that person is at fault. Imagine the situation that your family are planning a picnic. Everyone in the family helps and each person has a job to do. Someone is responsible for making the sandwiches. Someone is responsible for putting some cold drinks into the car. Someone is responsible for making sure that we've got crockery and cutlery, plates and eating utensils. Someone else has to make sure that you've got some cups to drink from and that the mayonnaise and ketchup are in the food basket. Okay, so there are lots of different jobs and different members of your family are responsible for different things. This is a real team effort. Okay, but what happens if you get to the picnic spot? Get everything out of the car, spread the blanket on the ground, sit down and start your picnic and then realize that the sandwiches are still sitting in the kitchen. Now what happens? Well, what usually happens is that everyone starts to shout at each other and everyone starts looking for someone to blame. To blame someone is to say who is responsible for a fault. You broke the TV, I saw you do it, and now I can blame you for the fact that I can't watch SpongeBob SquarePants. All right, so the same thing now happens with your family. Everyone starts looking for someone to blame. And here, we're doing the same thing as finding whose fault it is. Who is responsible for the mistake? Who left the sandwiches in the kitchen? That person is the person we should blame. It's his or her fault. They are responsible for this mess. A picnic with no sandwiches. All right, but what did Alfredo say? He said that it wasn't his fault. So he's denying responsibility for the smell. He's saying that he's not responsible. He's saying that he's not to blame. It's not his fault. He's saying that he wasn't or isn't responsible for the horrible smell. He's saying that we shouldn't blame him. We shouldn't hold him responsible for the smell. It's not his fault. So when he says that what he wants to tell us is that the smell isn't because of him, I mean, you and I, we know that the smell is actually because of him, but when Alfredo says that it's not his fault, what he means is that he didn't do this deliberately. It was an accident. And because it was an accident, he's saying that it's just one of those things. Accidents happen, but it was just an accident. It wasn't something that he planned. It wasn't something that he did deliberately. He didn't do this on purpose. It was an accident. All right, so I suppose we can accept that Alfredo's not really to blame. It's not really his fault that he fell over in the cheese, and so it's not really his fault that the whole area around him smells like, well, I don't know, some sort of waste cheese dump. And I suppose that we can accept this. I mean, we all know that it was Alfredo's fault. He didn't accept the basket. He piled all the cheese up in his arms. He couldn't see where he was going. But I suppose we should feel sorry for Alfredo rather than feel angry with him. Poor Alfredo. All right, people, that's all the time we've got for this Wednesday, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow and we'll find out where PC Whiffle is taking Edward Eddie Finn. All right, people, have a coffee, walk the dog, feed the cat, speak to the parrot in Esperanto, of course, eat something, get some rest, and I'll see you all tomorrow. And if you get a minute, have a butcher's at the website. You know, the one with all the Ks, www.mediaclick.hu. See you tomorrow. See you later. Bye.